Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. Running a bit late with today's video, so I'll try and rattle through everything as quickly as I can. We're going to be looking at weather next week to 10 days. First of all, in today's video, this takes us to the end of March. We go to 31st of March with a 10-day period. And we'll have a look at the CFS V2, which will take us more or less through April, so we get a few hints about what might be around the corner for next month. So as I say, I'll try and rattle through as quickly as I can. These are 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS, which I'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere, I should say, where high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by a jet stream running above. Red extrapolates to high pressure, and blue extrapolates to low pressure. So very clear and evident what's going on for the next week to 10 days. As I say, this takes us to the last day of the month, and we've got this big area of above average height sitting around not just the UK, but many central, northern and western parts of Europe. That's a very large ridge of high pressure, and the jet stream is doing something like that. So we're placed on the mild side of the jet. We're probably drawing the air up from the south or the southeast. That looks pretty warm and very dry as we're going through to the end of the month. I did a video yesterday saying that it looked like we could have a pretty warm and dry end to March. Today's models are very much backing up that idea. This is the GFS. Again, this is taking us out to the end of the month. This goes to the last day of March, where we find we've got this big ridge of above average heights again, centering around northern, western and central parts of Europe. The jet stream and the flow is going like that. Big trough plunging down into northeastern Europe and western Russia. That would be bringing there a late blast of winter with that trough. But for us, we're under this ridge. So again, we can expect a lot of dry weather and probably fairly warm temperatures as well. Could be cold by night. We might have some cold nights, but by day in the sunshine, we should have plenty of warm sunny spells to enjoy. These are the temperature and precipitation ensembles from the GFS model for the next 2 weeks. You can see we are cold on average up now, having our little cold snap. But from here on in, it's pretty much all the way upwards with the temperature till we get to there, which is around 25th of March. We're going mild on average again. And then the idea is just keep it generally mild and average. A red line here being the 30-year temperature average, keeping it generally milder than average then throughout the remainder of March and into April. Just there, and also very dry. I've got some rain coming up just there. That's moving through around Wednesday into Thursday. After that, though, lots and lots of dry weather. We do have a few precipitation spikes just here in the start of April, but that's a long way off, and it's not worth worrying about. Essentially, that looks very dry for the remainder of March once Wednesday is out of the way, and those dry and pretty warm conditions are likely to continue into April as well. Temperature anomalies for next week. This is going from the 21st of March to the 29th. It's coming out ever so slightly cooler than average. By the time we look at these again, either tomorrow or Thursday, I would suspect they will be trending milder than average. Precipitation anomalies are generally looking drier than average, particularly so in the north and the east. Here's the GFS for Saturday. Then big ridge sitting over the country, lots of dry weather as we're going into the weekend. Bit of an easterly wind for the south, so that will probably bring in more cloud and make you feel a bit cooler down in the south. Elsewhere, lots of dry weather. There will be sunny spells, probably cold nights, maybe some mist and fog, but by day we should have a fair amount of very pleasant March sunshine to enjoy. Of course, we spring forward with the clocks this weekend, so have an extra hour of daylight to enjoy those sunny spells. We go into next week, and again, high pressure is dominating all the way, really, and then we get through into the middle part of next week. Look at that, the ridge continues. There's that cold northerly that's plunging down into northeastern Europe and western Russia, courtesy of this trough just here, so they'll be getting a late blast of winter. But for us, we're under this ridge, the jet stream doing something like that. So, I mean, there could be cold nights under that ridge, but by day, because the sun is rapidly strengthening now, it should feel really quite pleasant. And these dry conditions continue into the second half of next week as well. Very gradually, the ridge is beginning to weaken. So by the end of next week, this is day 10, 31st of March, we might be starting to bring in some slightly milder and more unsettled air. Or I should say more unsettled air. It will still be mild anyway, but probably bringing in some slightly more unsettled air and weather into the far north and west of the country. But essentially, that ridge is in control. If we run out beyond that, into start of April, still high pressure is very much dominating the weather. ECMWF looks like this. So for weekend, high pressures through the country. Got a bit of an easy wind in the south, a little bit more cloud there, I would have thought. But otherwise, a lot of dry and fine weather with sunny spells. That continues into the start of next week as well. Big ridge dominating over UK and many central and western parts of Europe as well. And then into the middle and second half of next week, that high pressure continues its influence. Again, a little bit more of a southwesterly later next week into Scotland and Northern Ireland, probably brings some cloud and rain there. But the ridge is still in control, I think, for much of England and Wales. So out to the end of March, it does look very dry and pleasantly warm. Temperatures with that, I would have thought, are likely to be going up at least into the mid-teens Celsius. And what about beyond that? Well, this is the CFS V2 500 millibar height anomaly chart for the next week. This takes us from the 21st through to the 27th of March. And we find that we've got ridging out to our east and also to the west. We've got this trough down to the south, but essentially this ridge is bringing us a lot of dry and quite mild weather. We move through to week 2, which takes us from the 28th of March to the 3rd of April. And look at this big ridge there over not just the UK, but many northern and central parts of Europe. The flow is going like that. So again, there's the cold trough bringing a late blast of winter into northeastern Europe and western Russia. But for us, under this ridge of high pressure, it's going to be pretty dry, quite warm as well. Week 2 continues that trend. So this takes us from the 4th through to the 10th of April. Still that big ridge of above average heights around many parts of Europe. We're on the mild side of the jet stream, so that looks pretty dry, quite warm as well going in to April. And then we round it all off with week 4, which takes us from the 11th through to 17th of April. Slight repositioning of the ridge takes the centre of it more to the northwest of Scotland, which means we're probably doing something a little bit like that with the flow. This trough over Scandinavia might just be starting to back some slightly cooler or maybe colder into west of Europe around that ridge. However, it still looks very dry, and because we're into the middle of April by that point, I thought it's still likely to be fairly pleasantly warm as well. So it looks like we're in for a prolonged spell of pretty anticyclonic weather again. Actually, we've got some rain coming up around Wednesday into Thursday, but once that's out of the way, I think we're looking at lots of dry weather for the remainder of March, and probably continuing well into April as well. So we've had a prolonged sort of dry spell overall, which started way back several months ago, around the end of last summer, is when it started to turn particularly dry. It continued through the autumn, it continued through the winter, and also it's going on into spring. We have had some heavy rain over the past few days, but nowhere near enough to make up the deficit. And it appears that these dry conditions are going to continue, going to carry on certainly into April. I think we're looking at quite a lot of anticyclonic weather. So it's not too bad, really, for the time of year. I think we are going to have plenty of dry weather to enjoy, quite warm at times. Well, watch out for some cold nights under those ridges of high pressure. Got any tender plants they may need covering up. But yeah, overall, dry and warm going into April. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.